Compact smartphones are so back, sort of. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. One of the coolest phones I've gotten to look at in a while, and so today we're going to talk about it. Samsung is changing things up this year with 3 foldable models. You've got your Galaxy Z Flip 8, the wide Galaxy Z Fold 8, and now the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra, all of them starting with 256 gigs and all of them being pretty darn expensive. Samsung last year sent me the Fold 7, and it's sort of this taller, thinner model that is basically the Ultra this year, whereas the non-Ultra Fold 8 is going for this more kind of squat, wider look, with a 5.5-inch cover display, making this one of the smallest flagship smartphones we've seen in a long time, especially from Samsung. But of course, we're getting the best of both worlds here, because when you open this thing up, you get basically a 7.6-inch mini tablet. Now, of course, Apple is said to be making their own foldable phone with this same form factor later this year. And I'm just happy to see that small smartphones are actually returning in some form, albeit maybe not the way we wanted, and also that $1,900 price tag is pretty hard to swallow. But let's back up here a bit. Samsung sent me this phone for a whole month to review, so I'll be likely daily driving it for a few weeks or so. But today I want to give some of my impressions and general thoughts about the phone, particularly concerning its size and general value proposition. I have a lot of thoughts, so let's just jump into this. The unboxing experience is about as simple and straightforward as it gets. Taking off the top, we're immediately met with the phone. In terms of extras, all we get is a SIM tool, some paperwork, and a USB-C cable. Of course, no wall adapter or anything like that, which is always disappointing, but unfortunately has been the norm for a number of years now. Still stings, especially taking into account the price tag, but we'll talk about the cost later on. For now, we can peel this off the unfolded display as well as the cover display, then hold down the power button for a few seconds to get this thing booted up. I do find it kind of funny that it turns on both sides, but doesn't take too long, and then we can get right into the setup process. I fly through this pretty quickly. One notable thing is how the keyboard splits to either side of the device when unfolded, making it easier to type, and then on the cover display, the compact form factor makes for really easy one-handed typing, which is fantastic. The size is 100% the most appealing aspect of this device for me, and we will circle back to that. I skipped signing in for now. I just want to get right into the experience immediately, though I do regret putting in my actual birth date and not just saying that I was 0 days old. I'm curious if it would have let me through. Notably, there are some warnings for how you should treat the phone, which is good given that any foldable like this is inevitably going to be more fragile and less durable than your typical slab phone. We have an IP48 rating, meaning there's good water resistance but like no dust proofing, and the phone also just feels kind of delicate by the very nature of how it's built. The inner unfolded display has a bit of a plasticky feel to it, and it does have that plastic film on it that you cannot peel off. But through the setup, getting to the home screen, it all does still look really stellar as you would expect. We've got a sharp and vibrant 7.6-inch 120Hz AMOLED display with a 4:3 aspect ratio and a center crease that appears basically invisible when looking at the phone head-on. At off angles, it does become more apparent, and you can kind of feel it when you run your finger over it, but it's something that you immediately do get accustomed to, and it doesn't bother me at all personally. There are these slight bumps extruding from the hinge on the top and the bottom, but even with that, this device is ridiculously thin. And that's great because when folded up, the Fold 8 is no thicker than any typical slab phone. But it's most definitely not your typical slab phone, with a 5.5-inch 120Hz AMOLED display and unique aspect ratio of 10:16. It reminds me a lot of an old iPhone 4 or something, back before phones started getting taller every year. And I'm thrilled to say that it is in fact a very ideal experience for one-handed usage. Compared to the Fold 7 last year or the Fold 8 Ultra this year, this phone is basically a little wider and a little shorter. It's shaped like a passport, and it feels way better in the hand to me than the Fold 7 did. I found that phone to be awesome, but a little too tall and unwieldy, definitely requiring 2 hands. When opened up, the Fold 8 Ultra will give you 8 inches with a 1.1:1 aspect ratio, being basically square, and I think I actually prefer the wider 4:3 aspect ratio of the Fold 8. It feels really ideal to me and a lot like an iPad mini. It's also definitely better for video streaming, as the black bars on the top and bottom aren't nearly as egregious here as it was with the more square display. And also like an iPad mini, the Fold 8 works well both horizontally or vertically, though it does feel a bit odd to have the selfie camera positioned where it is when oriented like this. I do kind of wish Samsung had kept trying to stick with the under display selfie cam. They had that on older folds, and it was certainly more seamless, even if the actual quality of the camera was lacking. Outside of the size, the design here is pretty similar to what we've gotten from Samsung in recent years. We've got the premium aluminum frame and matte glass backing, and I really like the lavender color they sent me, even if for me personally it could never beat that beautiful blue they had on the Fold 7 last year. We've got our USB-C port and the fingerprint reader on the power button, which seems fast and reliable. Obviously you can't put it under the display because, there's multiple displays. Again, this phone is crazy thin, even if the Ultra model is slightly thinner. And one thing I am curious to see in my testing will be battery performance. They've managed to cram a 4800 mAh silicon carbon battery into this thing, which is impressive, and apparently good for 26 hours of video playback, so we'll see how that translates to daily usage. I'll probably mention this in my full review, but something I do really love about the Fold 8 is that this feels like a genuinely useful and practical device, not just a gimmick phone. Compare that to the Flip, for example, and well, look, I liked the Flip 7 when I reviewed it last year, but it's not exactly bold of me to point out that the main appeal behind these phones is that they're essentially just like modern flip phones, and that there's very little to no actual utility gained from the form factor. The cover display isn't much more than a glorified clock, and even when unfolded, the Flip is just a slightly taller slab phone with a significantly less durable display. Durability is still a concern with the Fold 8, but the difference is that this really is just a little tablet that can fit in your pocket and be whipped out at any time. You also don't have to open up the phone to use the phone. There's always a delay getting into your Flip because the cover screen's not all that useful, whereas here, you can use the cover display and it's great. In the Ultra's case, being taller, it would make for just a normal slab phone when folded up. And with the non-Ultra here, we get an awesome small phone that can be easily used with one hand. Now, I've personally always loved the idea of small phones, but I find that in practice, I just enjoy having more space to display my content. When texting or doing basic tasks, especially on the go when I'm in a rush, being able to reach all four corners of the screen with my thumb is really nice. But when I'm using my phone for anything more complicated or leisure related, I'm going to want that bigger display when I'll be probably using two hands anyways. The small screen has too many drawbacks, especially when you take into account the typical lackluster battery life, like with the iPhone mini models from like 5-6 years back. The Fold 8, on the other hand, seems to balance this perfectly. It can be a small phone, it can be a small tablet, the best of both worlds. When I'm at home watching YouTube and doom scrolling, I can do so with the phone unfolded like this. When I'm on the go and just need to answer a quick text or email, I can do so with the compact cover display, something I can use with only one hand. I don't have to constantly do, that little wiggle thing you have to do to like try to reach the corner of the display. You don't have to do that with a smaller phone. It's nice, it really is. On paper, this seems to me like the absolute perfect form factor. And hey, for those who don't want a smaller phone, for only a couple $100, you can get a regular, well, maybe even slightly taller sized phone with the Fold 8 Ultra. But for me personally, this is what I want. This is almost perfect. It's much more comfortable to use. And funnily enough, when I was sent the Fold 7 last year, I really could have used a phone closer to this size because I had broken my arm. So using a phone with two hands was a lot more difficult than it would normally be. I really struggled to use that phone to its full potential in the couple weeks that I had it. And so of course it's this year where Samsung sends me a phone that would have been a lot easier to film at the time, but that's okay. I could gush about how much I love this form factor all day, I really could. And I do think it's exciting to see small smartphones come back, even if it's not exactly the way you might have hoped for or expected. You never know what could come down the line if this size proves to be popular, right? But I also have some big problems with this phone and Samsung's foldable lineup at large, mainly just coming down to the price. Now firstly, more choice is always good, and I'm glad that Samsung is providing a smaller version of their Fold. I suspect this wouldn't have happened were it not for the rumors of Apple making a foldable iPhone this fall in basically the exact same form factor, but either way, I always think more choice is a good thing for the consumer. So pricing. It's going to be pretty hard to swallow for most users. I mean, $18.99 for the Fold 8, $20.99 for the Fold 8 Ultra, both starting with 256 gigs. That's pretty rough. It's also actually not all that significant a gap in cost between models, only a couple $100, and if you can get past the initial sticker shock, you might even wonder if the non-Ultra model is worth buying in the first place. And it's a fair question. For only $200 more, the Fold 8 Ultra has some major upsides to it. But I do still think that for potential buyers, the size should be the deciding factor over anything else. With the Fold 8 Ultra, you get the 200 megapixel main wide lens versus 50 megapixels on my Fold 8 here. Plus, the Ultra has an extra 10 megapixel 3x zoom telephoto lens. Then both phones share the 0.6x zoom 50 megapixel ultra wide lens, and then the Galaxy S26 Ultra is still the king for photography with all of that plus another 50 megapixel 5x zoom telephoto lens. But the Fold 8 Ultra is definitely a step up from the regular Fold 8. Man, side note, I really don't love this naming scheme. S26 Ultra, Fold 8 Ultra, Fold 8, like it gets so confusing. Past this though, it's really just the size making all the difference between the Fold 8 and the Fold 8 Ultra, with the same Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip and 12 gigs of RAM in both phones. If phone photography is extremely important to you, but you do really want a foldable, the Fold 8 Ultra is worth an extra $200. But for users who might care about good cameras, but really want that smaller form factor, saving a little cash and grabbing the regular Fold 8 is an entirely reasonable choice. But all this assumes that you're willing to spend this much on a smartphone to begin with. I do kind of suspect that part of the reason Samsung split up their Fold models this year was to be able to say that the Fold 8 starts at under $2,000. The Fold 8 Ultra got a $100 price increase from the Fold 7, which was to be expected unfortunately, and even iPhones are likely to get some significant price jumps later this year. I don't think the Fold 8 is a phone most people should even remotely consider buying. While I do love this compact form factor and how it turns into just a little mini tablet, and I do believe there is legitimate utility here for the right user, maybe when it comes to productivity. I mean, it's all certainly novel coming from like the iPhone 17 Pro for myself, and I'm enjoying it a ton so far, but the reality is that no matter which way you toss it, slab smartphones are still incredibly capable, far more affordable, and critically also a lot more durable and practical. For most people, even not taking the price into account, which you have to do because it's almost double a regular smartphone's price, slab smartphones just typically make more sense for most people. They do. The $1,300 Galaxy S26 Ultra has a better photography setup, for example. It has a stylus too if you want that. But for me personally, I think the biggest issue I would have with going for a foldable is the durability. While Samsung's done a lot to continually improve the durability with their foldables, there's still no getting around the feeling of fragility using one of these phones. I'm always paranoid I'm going to scratch the display, and the kind of plasticky feel of the unfolded screen just isn't as nice to use as the hard glass on the cover screen. When you're paying like $2,000 for a smartphone, unless you just have cash to burn, and fair enough if you do, you're gonna want to be careful with this device. You're gonna want to treat it well. I mean, it cost you like $2,000. And I feel like my personal paranoia with a phone this expensive just wouldn't be worth the hassle. So to wrap this all up, the Fold 8 is awesome, truly. I love the size, and it feels fresh and fun, and it's so comfortable to use even with one hand. If I could pick this phone or the Fold 8 Ultra, I could get either for free. I would pick just the Fold 8, honestly, just for the form factor. I really do like it. But it is very pricey, and it's probably not going to be worth that amount of money for most people. Almost $2,000, I would loop myself into that group too. It's cool, but I mean, $2,000 is a lot of money. Now we'll see if my thoughts change over the next few weeks as I get accustomed to the Fold 8. You never know, it's possible. But that's where I'm at right now, so stay tuned for my full review coming soon. And to cap things off in terms of the whole small smartphones are so back thing, well, obviously this isn't what users struggling on their 5-year-old iPhone 13 mini getting like 30 minutes of battery life. Not exactly what you want, right? You probably don't want like a $2,000 phone to replace what you have, and you possibly don't really need it to turn into a little tablet. Even so, I do think this trend of Passport foldables is a positive precedent for the sake of small smartphones. And if these things prove popular, you never know, maybe some smaller slab phones end up coming out in the future. Apple has their own Passport foldable coming later this year, and maybe it'll become a wider industry trend to downsize phones. It's not the craziest thing that could happen. And so with that, I think I'm right about done here. What do you guys think of the Fold 8? Is it a phone you would consider buying for almost $2,000? What do you think of the form factor, the size? Make sure to let us all know your thoughts in the comments down below. And hey, while you're at it, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. Plus that upcoming review. We do have a Discord server, link in the description if you want to come by and say hi. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I am Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.